welcome back, everyone, to the third episode of the Tailgate Talk. Um, Obviously, this is going to look a little different from what the first two episodes look like, and I'm going to obviously address the elephant in the room to start things off and kind of explain how I'm going to go forward and things like that, and then we'll get into the action for today. So Riley will no longer be joining me on the show. Um, there was more outside stuff going on, and I'm not gonna, go too far into it, but I decided that it is best to go my own route, and to, kind of break apart. Um, so yeah, nothing against her, but this is something that this is a decision I had to make, and I hope you guys can, respect that decision. Um, you know, and I hope to still have your support going forward. So moving on, um, in the future, I'm gonna have guests on the show. So we're gonna kind of bounce between, it's gonna every show is gonna look different. We're gonna have, which I'm actually excited for. We're gonna have, a lot of different people on who know a lot about different sports. We're gonna talk about those sports, and yeah, we're gonna have a good time here. We're still gonna, I'm still gonna be putting out a show every week. So yeah, and I'm no longer using, my intro. Many of you probably noticed, because it wasn't mine. She made it, and so I'm, not going to use anything that Riley produced for me. That's her content. I'm not going to take credit for it. But yeah, so anyone who's interested in joining me on the show, please feel free to DM me down below, and I'll be more than happy to have you on. And yeah, we're gonna get this party started today. So a lot of stuff happened over the last week or so. Um, I want to start with the college football. So the college football playoff is out, and I don't think that anyone, doubted that Michigan, um, Washington, and oh, now I see, now you guys have me blanking on that third team. Um, Geez, guys. I'm blanking. This is pathetic, guys. I apologize. Um, oh, Texas. There you go. Sorry about that. So we have Michigan, Washington, Texas. Those three were all locks, all undefeated years. Played great football this year. Texas was beating up on opponents like crazy. Um, but the controversy, and I don't think anyone expected Georgia to be anywhere near this race. Their team just didn't look as strong as the other three that I just mentioned. But and you guys can let me know in the comments or, on Instagram. I'm more than happy to talk about it. Personally, I believe that Florida State University should have made it over Alabama for that fourth spot, or that they should have decided on a play-in game or something like that. Because yes, Alabama does look like a stronger team right now, but they have a loss on their record. FSU does not. And they maintained that with their third string quarterback. Yes, they look weaker, but they maintained their undefeated season with their third string quarterback playing instead of Jordan Travis. So yeah, let me know. I mean, I personally think that FSU deserves it, and they've proven that they can hang in there. And I think you have to base it off record. But this is the first time that an undefeated team, who's in consideration, doesn't make it. And this is what the committee said they were supposed to do. They're doing what they said they were going to do, but they've never done it in the past. So Personally, in terms of most deserving, I think that they should have been involved. I think Alabama had too many close calls this year. But yeah, my opinion, FSU definitely should have been in there. Um, instead of Alabama. But that's a big controversy that's kind of going on um now. But looking at the NFL, we have a lot going on. Moving away from college, we've got the Bengals upsetting the Jaguars with their backup quarterback. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence getting hurt. This is Monday Night Football for those of you who don't know what I'm referencing. But looking at the scores from this week, the Colts beat the Titans, which I guess, you know, it surprises me because they were on the road. I thought the Titans would pull out with that. The biggest, like the worst game of the weekend, and there's two. Don't get me wrong, there are two that you could put up here. But my opinion is the Falcons and Jets. That was a pathetic display of football by both sides. The Jets finished with 8 points. Their spread was 2 in the first quarter, 3 in both the second and third quarters, and none in the fourth quarter. Made a quarterback change, went from Boyle, who I believe started the game, to Simeon, who came out of the gate okay. But the Falcons scored a touchdown and a field goal in the second quarter and a field goal in the third quarter. 13-8. Now, a lot of you are going to say the Chargers and the Patriots played worse. They did, but it was pouring rain and outdoor stadium. I mean, you know, Herbert threw for 212 yards in the pouring rain on 22 for 37 completions. Bailey Zappi threw 13 for 25 for 141 yards. So that team's a disaster. That team is a total wreck. Keenan Allen, 58 receiving yards. Austin Eckler, only 18 rushing yards. Herbert got sacked, scrambling out of the pocket for -5 yards. So yeah, that obviously I can't count that as the worst game of the weekend by any means because I think the rain had a much bigger score effect on that score. And I think that the Chargers still would have put up a good number. Herbert did not help any fantasy owners this week. I know, even though he threw for 212 yards, he gave me like 8 points. So all of you who have him, I feel awful. Um, Lions Saints, that was a good game. The Lions won that 33-28, scoring 21 points in the first quarter, then going quiet and going 3-3 in the second and third, and then putting up 6. New Orleans made it close. They scored touchdown in the second, 2 touchdowns in the third, and another touchdown in the fourth quarter, but fell short to the Detroit Lions, who are playing great football right now. I don't know what happened on Thanksgiving. I think it was a fluke. I think they, had an off day, maintained their, winless Thanksgiving record. But they're 5-1 on the road, and the Saints are 2-3 at home. So the Lions should have won that game by a lot more than they did. Here's an interesting one, and feel free to pitch in. Like I said, in my Instagram or leave a comment on the video, and I'll definitely bring it up next episode. The Cardinals and Steelers. The Cardinals are 3-10 after this week, 1-6 on the road. This was their first road win of the season. Steelers are 7-5, so anyone would expect the Steelers to win that game. However, I don't know what happened. I believe Kenny Pickett got hurt. Um, yeah. So Pickett was hurt late in the first half. Yeah. So Kenny Pickett hurt, I believe it was an ankle. Mitch Trubisky, who a lot of us haven't heard that name in a while because he is that irrelevant now. He didn't do anything for the Steelers. Nothing. He could not get a pass off. He couldn't do anything. TJ Watt, the Steelers outside linebacker, replied to reporters saying, "We got our butts kicked and we got pummeled today," which I think is an understatement. 24-10 against a good team, understandable. You held your ground. They're a better team, sure. We're talking about the 3-10 Cardinals. 3-10. So, and I want to point out when I say Trubisky didn't do much, he did throw a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and it was a 2-yard pass. So, yeah, I'm not sure how much I like. I don't like the Steelers moving forward at all. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is a good quarterback. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Dolphins Commanders, no one expected anything different. 45-15 in favor of the Dolphins. Mike White actually got in the game. Threw for 3 yards. Tua threw for 280. Tyreek Hill had a monster game, 5 receptions, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. The longest reception of the day came in the first quarter, 78-yard touchdown. Targeted 7 times. Waddle targeted 8. The most yards for the Washington Commanders was 4 receptions on 65 yards for Curtis Samuel. And Sam Howell threw for 127 yards and threw an interception. Tua threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This should not have even been this close. I feel like the Dolphins could have blown it out of proportion. Obviously, you see Mike White getting in there. So, it's not going to be they're not going to do much with him out there. But as a team, they threw 19 for 25 for 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 sacks. No sacks because Washington traded away their defensive line. Montrezl Sweat, gone. He was the biggest piece to that defensive line. So I think you're safe to say. Oh, and Antonio Gibson fumbled. Let's not forget that. But I think you're definitely safe to say that the Washington Commanders are going into a full rebuild mode. They're 4-9 and 1-5 at home. And they let the Dolphins put up 17 and 14 in the opening quarters and still score 2 touchdowns in the third and fourth. I mean, come on. Really? Like we have to start, looking at who's a real football team. Moving on, Broncos Texans. This was a crazy game. It was very, very interesting to watch this game because for the Texans always looked like they had they were in control of the game. They knew what they were doing. They looked, confident out there. But then again, they did look a little lost because the third and fourth quarter, the Broncos put up 14 points total, getting it to 17. They just couldn't finish the job. So a lot of credit to CJ Stroud there for finishing the job against the Denver Broncos. But really, if it wasn't for their 10 points in the first quarter, that would not have been the case. They went 3-3-6. So only 1 touchdown on the day for the Texans, but that's also with the injury to Tank Dell. So we'll see what happens with them going forward. I think Schultz is going to get a lot more targets for that team. Moving on, Panthers Bucks. No one really cares. Panthers are eliminated for playoff contention. They're 1-11, 0-7 on the road. Fall 3 short to the Bucks. We're 5-7, 3-3 at home. Browns against the Rams. Rams destroyed them 36-19, putting up 16 points in the fourth quarter. Rams are 6-6 and 500. They're living in a simulation over there. 500 at home, 3-3. Best game of the weekend for me as a Giants fan was watching the Eagles lose to the 49ers 42-19. 42-19 after not putting up any first quarter points. 0. They put up 14 points in all 3 of the other quarters against a 10-1 at the time Eagles team who was 5-0 at home going into the game. I mean, anyone who's saying, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I've watched him work all year. Brock Purdy, anyone saying that, you know, he's only good because he has good receivers, sure, that helps. But let's just get back to, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Swift, Smith, plenty of good weapons, like above average weapons. But Deebo Samuel walked all over them, all over them. Deebo Samuel, 4 receptions, 116 yards with 2 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk had 46 yards on 5 receptions. That is what's so dangerous about this team. Also, their defense forced a fumble on Jalen Hurts. The San Francisco 49ers, if they aren't the favorite to win the Super Bowl, I don't know who is. I don't. Brock Purdy threw for 314 yards today on Sunday night. 19 for 27, 4 touchdowns. He threw 4 touchdowns in 3 quarters. Or sorry, yeah, 4 touchdowns in 3 quarters. Jalen Hurts threw for 298 yards on 45 attempts. So less yards, more attempts, almost double the attempts, and only threw 1 touchdown, and was 3 for 27 in the sack ratio. So I really like the 49ers here, and obviously you guys can tell me if you disagree or agree. I'm happy to debate you on it, but as of now, the Niners are my card to win the Super Bowl. Because this next team, the Chiefs, who just lost to the Packers 27-19, are lost. The Kansas City Chiefs are lost. Packers are 5-6 going into this game. They are 3-2 at home against an 8-3 team who is 4-1 on the road going into the game. I mean, Jordan Love threw for 267 yards and threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Mahomes only threw for 210 yards and threw an interception and only 1 touchdown. You mean to tell me that Patrick Mahomes is being celebrated like he is and praised like he is, which don't get me wrong, he's a great quarterback. But against the Green Bay Packers, this team should have walked all over the Green Bay Packers. All over them. And I think that, there were no forced fumbles. The defense has played pretty well, but obviously the Green Bay defense played much better. Yeah, that was just, with 78,000 in attendance, the Green Bay Packers took care of business. So moving on to our last score, was last night, like I said, 34-31, favor of the Bengals with their backup. McPherson thought he missed the kick at the end. I'm going to put the clip in right here. He thought he missed the kick. The coach knew it was good, but Evan McPherson thought he missed the game-winning kick, which was actually kind of funny to watch. But this week on bye, you had the Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, and Ravens. So out of those teams, you have the Bills and the Ravens, who are the two good teams there. The other four don't mean anything. Not in the playoff picture. The Bills are coming out and playing the Chiefs next week out of their bye. If the Chiefs play like they just did against that Packers team, the Bills should have no problem taking care of business. None. The Ravens this week, they're going up against the Rams. Once again, should have no problem taking care of business. However, I think the Ravens, like I said, win this game. However, I think the Chiefs will beat the Buffalo Bills. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to push all his guys at practice this week. I think Travis Kelce is going to push those guys. I think Coach Reed is not going to leave for his cheeseburger until he thinks that they have a 100% chance of beating the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have had an extra week to rest and prepare for this game. So, looking at the Ravens' upcoming schedule, they have the Rams, potentially the Trevor Lawrence-less Jaguars, the Niners, which they probably will lose that game, Miami, which will be a good game, and then Pittsburgh. So out of their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, I would expect them to win, guaranteed, 2, potentially 4 out of the next 5. If Lawrence is healthy, it's going to be a good game, but they should still beat that team. It's the 8:20 game on NBC. I guess next Monday or in 2 Mondays, 17th. So yeah, we'll see. Uh, they play the Niners on Christmas, which that's the first time that I think that's the first NFL game we've had on Christmas, or they're resuming it first in a while. Um, so yeah, we will see what happens with the NFL in the coming weeks. Um, oh, and I also want to talk about Dallas beating Seattle on Thursday last week. Seattle, I don't know how they made it that far in the game, but Dallas was going to win that game. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I told you my picks last week. I had Dallas there. The Seahawks never had a chance. They just don't have the weapons. They don't have anything that can put up with that defense that Dallas has. Dallas is a top 5 defense in the league, without a doubt. Maybe top 3. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna see what happens with the NFL in the coming weeks. So I want to move to the NBA for a second. Yesterday we had 2 in-season tournament quarterfinal games. The Boston Celtics took on the Indiana Pacers on the road. On the road. Yep. And the New Orleans Pelicans took on the Sacramento Kings on the road. Now, I want to talk about the Pelicans Kings game first because I think that's what people were expecting to be the more competitive of the two. Pelicans were 11-10 going into the game and 3-6 on the road going into this game. The Kings were 11-7 and 6-2 at home going into this game. Brandon Ingram dropped 30, and he sent the Sacramento Kings back to their houses while they booked a plane ticket to Vegas. That's right. The Pelicans beat the Kings and are going to play in the semifinals against the winner of Phoenix and LA in Vegas for the semifinal of the in-season tournament. So that game was always going to be tough. But obviously Ingram had 30. Zion put up 10 points. Herb Jones put up 23 points. Valanciunas had a solid 18. And CJ McCollum, who nobody remembers anymore, no one even thinks about it anymore, put up 17 points. And I believe Trey Murphy III off the bench had another 16 for the squad. But Jose Alvarado, while he doesn't score a lot and he comes off the bench, he played 18 minutes in the game yesterday. And he had 2 steals, 2 assists, 2 blocks, only 1 turnover, and 9 points. On 3 for 4 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3-point land. So he is like, people always, the Grand Theft Alvarado, right? Which happened last night. That was one of his 2 steals, and 3 rebounds, to go along with it. But one of his steals was a Jose Alvarado last night. So when you look at the team that they just beat and the team that he was playing great defense on, you're talking about a Domantas Sabonis putting up 26 and a De'Aaron Fox putting up 30. De'Aaron Fox played 40 minutes last night. Okay. De'Aaron Fox had 1 steal, no blocks, 6 turnovers, and then obviously more rebounds and assists. But Jose Alvarado had 1 turnover, 2 blocks, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 18 minutes playing. So what I want to point out is Jose Alvarado is such a valuable piece on that team. And when he is playing solid defense, when he shows up energetic and plays good defense coming off the bench, whatever minutes he gives them are really productive minutes that they're turning defense to offense and they're scoring a lot of points. Final score from last night was 127 to 117. So yeah, we shall see. It was a sold out arena last night in the Gold One Center. It was and Sacramento, by the way, going in was favored by 3.5. I want to point that out. There was 18,000 in attendance last night. So yeah, that's the first game. Now, if we're gonna go to the second game, we're gonna talk about the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. If anyone has a good explanation as to why the Indiana Pacers beat the beat the Boston Celtics by 10, putting up 37 points in the third and fourth quarter, and outscoring the Celtics in the third quarter by 14. Anyone can tell me why that happened? I'd love to have you on because Tyrese Halliburton went for his first triple-double last night. They're now going. Boston was favored to win the whole in-season tournament. Okay, Tyrese Halliburton is playing some of the best basketball, and that team as a whole is playing some of the best basketball they've played. Mind you, Jason Tatum scored 32 points last night, and Jaylen Brown scored 30. Okay, Halliburton only had 26, but it was spread all the way around. Everyone who played last night, all 9 guys, had double-digit points except for 2. DJ McConnell, who didn't play well at all, only had 1 steal, a couple assists, and I'm not even sure who this is. Andrew Nembhard. But Obi Toppin put up 12 points in 26 minutes. Bruce Brown put up 13 points in 36 minutes. Miles Turner put up 17 points in 34 minutes. Halliburton triple-double, 26 points. Buddy Hield put up 21 points in just 32 minutes. Then going to the bench, Aaron Nesmith put up 14 in 31 minutes, and Brandon Mathurin put up 16 in 27 minutes. They are going to Las Vegas to play the winner of the Knicks-Bucks game, which is what I'm going to get into next. Obviously, the Bucks are favored to win this game by 61%. So the Milwaukee Bucks are favored by 5.5 points to win this game. The over-under is 228.5. But Brunson's coming into this game. Jalen Brunson for the Knicks is coming into this game, averaging 24.9 points per game. Giannis is coming in averaging 29.9. But looking at who the Bucks have played, and I could be wrong. Okay. Atlanta, bad team. Chicago, who they lost to, bad team. Miami, good team who they won against. Portland, bad team who they only won by 6. Beat the Wizards only by 3. Lost to the Boston Celtics. Beat the Wizards. Beat the Dallas Mavericks. Good team. So there's 2 good teams in there so far. Beat Charlotte by 41 points or 31 points. Beat Toronto, who's a mediocre team. Beat Chicago. Lost to Orlando and Indiana. 2 mediocre teams. Indiana might be good. So let's say we have 3 good teams. Beat Detroit, bad team. Beat Brooklyn, mediocre team. Beat New York, mediocre team. Lost to Toronto, bad team. And lost to Atlanta, bad team. They only beat the 76ers by 1. Does that not ring any bells? Does that not set off any alarms if you're a Bucks fan? Because when they played the New York Knicks, like, Randall played 39 minutes and only put up. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. He averages 16 points against them and shoots 11% from 3 against them. He's been playing much better recently, and I don't know if that's just because Giannis is the guy defending him. But if he plays and puts up 20 points tonight, if Brunson plays and he puts up 30 points, 30 plus points tonight, and if RJ Barrett can contribute 15 to 20 points tonight, and Josh Hart can put up 15 to 20 points, if all these guys can contribute and Dante DiVincenzo can shoot the 3, the Bucks are in trouble. because they don't have the depth or the defense to be able to handle this New York team. So we're third. The New York Knicks are third in the Atlantic standings, tied with Philadelphia. And Milwaukee is in first at 14-6 in the Central Division. Damian Lillard is going to have a lot of work cut out for him on this Tuesday night, guarding Jalen Brunson. A lot of work. A lot of work. So we'll see. But yeah, in that loss, Randall had 5 assists, 1 turnover, and played 39 minutes of that game. You can't judge that as a solid performance. That's not a full, obviously it's going to take the Knicks' full potential to beat this team, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. I think that they're going to win this game. I think they're going to win by 3 or 4 points, and I think they're going to be flying to Vegas out of Milwaukee tonight. Going into the Phoenix game tonight, Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is favored here by 1.5 points. Over unders 229. Some key injuries for the Lakers. Jared Vanderbilt's game to game. Hachimura's game to game. Gabe Vincent's out. Anthony Davis is game to game, and LeBron James is game to game. Obviously, both of them are playing tonight. That's no doubt. However, Durant's been averaging 31 points per game. LeBron's only been averaging 22.4. Phoenix has a 12-8 record. The Lakers have a 12-9 record. Okay, pretty even. Looking at the last 5 games, the Suns have played Memphis, lost to Denver, lost to Toronto, and beaten New York and Memphis. They've played Memphis twice in their last 5 games, who, by the way, are not a good team. Only beating them by 7 points is nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of. The Lakers, however, have played Houston, expect them to win that game. OKC, who they lost to. Detroit, who they won. They lost to the 76ers, and they beat Cleveland. So both are 3-2 in the last 5. But they beat the Rockets by 10. They beat Cleveland by 6. And they beat Detroit like anyone should beat Detroit by 26. However, they got blown out by Philly, 138-94, and they lost by 23 to OKC. So it's going to be a very even game. No Bradley Beal for the Suns. So still going to have that big 2 of Booker and Durant. But we'll see. I'm excited to watch this game. I think the Lakers will win this game down the stretch. I don't think that sorry, I take that back. The Lakers are favored to win this game by 1.5. According to analytics, they're not, but the spread is 1.5 in favor of the Lakers. The Lakers have won both of their matchups this year against the Suns, 195 and 122-19. So the Lakers, I think, are going to go 3-0. They're going to complete the hat trick. They're going to beat the Suns tonight, and they're going to fly to Vegas out of LA, out of LAX tonight. So, yeah. In terms of the MLB, we're looking at free agency. There's not really any updates on Ohtani. People are predicting he's going to make, some team's going to throw him $500 million. I don't know. I haven't heard much on it. Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell are 2 big names that are out on the market still. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. And then NHL. I want to look at the scores for the last couple nights. Or actually, I take that back. The standings. So the Boston Bruins are back to being the best team in the Eastern Conference. 24 wins, 17 losses. The Rangers have 23 wins, 18 losses. So they're right there. With the Hurricanes and the Panthers closely behind the 2 of them. Colorado's at 24 and 15. or shit, I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong numbers right now. They haven't played that many games. That's my fault. The Rangers still have the best record in the Eastern Conference at 18-4. I take that back. Boston 17-4, and then Colorado's 15-7, and the Golden Knights are still the best team in the NHL at 16-5. But like I said, I'm not normally a hockey guy. That was normally Riley's department. But as a Ranger fan, I don't see a way. They're in front of Carolina in the Metropolitan Division by 4 games. Carolina's 14-9. Florida, who we're also up by, I want to say 4 games. 4 games. They're 14-8. So we have more wins. I take that back. The Rangers are the best team in hockey right now at 18-4. The Golden Knights are 16-5. So, which are 2 games back from the Rangers. The Colorado Avalanche are 3, and the Boston Bruins are 1. Sorry, that was awful. What just happened there? That was just awful. What just transpired? Yeah, no, not good. Other New Jersey teams, you had the New Jersey Devils at 11-10. Not playing well at all. Just they're not. They are not a good hockey team this year. Jack Hughes is not producing the way they need him to. And they're not winning hockey games. It's that simple. So yeah, I'm gonna give you my picks. This I kind of already gave them to you for the NBA. But I'm gonna give you my NFL picks for this coming week. And yeah, you guys can get a sense of where I'm headed here. We have 2 Monday night games this week, by the way. I want to point that out. There was a flex. But let's start with our Thursday Night Football matchup on Prime Video. We've got New England and Pittsburgh. I'm gonna rock with Pittsburgh here. I don't think New England's gonna have a chance. I think, it's stupid to bet, with New England right now. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, where tickets are as low as $42 at 1 p.m. on CBS. There's no right answer here. Atlanta's 6-6, Tampa Bay 5-7. I'm gonna say Atlanta's gonna win that game. That's gonna be close. I don't think they win by more than I think it's gonna be a 3-point game. Both teams are pretty bad. Tampa Bay might come out and pick them apart with the Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans connection that's kind of there. We shall see. Detroit and Chicago. I'm not even gonna entertain that. I think Detroit is gonna win that game. I don't think Chicago has a chance. Detroit's been playing really good recently, really well. Cincinnati, Indianapolis. If Cincinnati's backup, and I couldn't tell you who it is right now, Cincinnati's backup plays as well as he did. Jake Browning is the backup. He plays as well as he did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will have no problem walking all over Indianapolis. So I'm going to take Cincinnati there. They're going to have to hold Jonathan Taylor, but I feel like their defense is capable. Jacksonville, Cleveland. Trevor Lawrence plays, they win. If he doesn't, I think they lose. So I'm gonna rock with. I'm gonna kind of be 50-50 on that. Assuming he plays, I'm gonna say the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna win, but most likely I'm gonna guess he's not gonna play. The ankle injury looked pretty serious. So I'm gonna say Cleveland's gonna win that game. Carolina, New Orleans. I think New Orleans is gonna beat Carolina. Carolina's 1-11. New Orleans is not 1-11. That's the only reason I'm gonna rock with them on this. Houston, New York. I think the Jets are going to get blasted by C.J. Stroud, even though he doesn't have his number 1 receiver. I think Houston's going to take care of business. L.A., Baltimore. I think Baltimore, like I said, is going to come out and win that game. Especially being at home. Minnesota at Vegas. That's a tough one. That's really a bad game. If Josh Dobbs can, have a comeback here, or if they make a change at the position, we shall see, but assuming it's Dobbs, I'm going to take Minnesota to win that. I don't think that Las Vegas has much of a chance. I kind of tapped on this one too, San Francisco and Seattle. I think San Francisco is going to walk all over them. I started Purdy this week for fantasy. He's projected to put up solid 21 points or so. Um, I just don't think they're going to have an answer. They don't have enough defensive weapons to guard, Debo Samuel on those wheel routes or Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle. They don't have a great run defense to, stop McCaffrey. I think San Francisco's the easy bet there to hand, Seattle their next loss. Kansas City Buffalo, that's got to be, one of the better games this week. I still think Kansas City's going to win that. They're at home at Arrowhead. I think that their fans, it's going to be loud. Everyone wants a rematch of what happened a couple years ago, where the 13 seconds, what happened there. Chargers at Denver. I think the Denver Broncos win that game. The Chargers are very poorly coached. I don't think that they have a good system at all. I see Herbert throwing for 250 yards like he always does, but I don't see them winning that game against the Denver Broncos, who are playing much better football than they started the year out playing. Philadelphia at Dallas. I think this is going to be a very close game. I do think Dallas wins this game. Now, the reason I say that is I think out of the defenses, which is what it's going to come down to, Dallas has the better defense. I think that they will have an answer for AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and Mr. Swift. I do think they have that defense. However, if they get in a lot of tush-push situations, no one can stop it. So we'll see. It all depends on where Philadelphia is trying to score from. But that's, I'd say that's probably the best game we're going to have this week. And as a Giants fan, you don't know who to root for because you really want to see both teams lose if that was an option. The flex game is Tennessee-Miami. Miami's going to win that game without a question. I think that they're going to win by a touchdown minimum against Tennessee, especially on their home field. Green Bay and New York, that shouldn't be a question. I think Green Bay wins that game, especially after how they played against the Chiefs. They're going to pick the Giants apart. Tommy Cutlett's not going to cut it this week. So yeah, that's what I have for you today. It's weird doing it by myself and just talking to everybody. So I hope to have, more people on in the future. Like I said, Riley will not be joining us anymore. And yeah, I asked you, respect her. But this is going to be primarily my show going forward. And yeah. So with that being said, let me know in the comments or on my Instagram or whatever it is if you want to be on the show. I'm more than happy to have guests talk talk about whatever you're thinking, whatever's on your mind. I am gonna do in the future. I am gonna post the link to my meeting on my Zoom, and I am gonna allow those of you who wish to join the waiting room. I can admit you that way. And we'll kind of do it radio style where you'll come in, we'll talk, and then you'll leave, and I'll bring the next person in. So if you're interested in that, let me know down below in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching, sticking with me through this. It's going to be a little bit different going forward, but we're gonna change it. We're gonna keep it rocking. And I hope that I can still have all your support through it. And we're gonna have this show. I'm working on it. I really am. I'm putting my effort into it. I'm gonna, you're gonna see the new intro in this episode. So thanks for sticking with me. Also, I'm going to plug my personal broadcast channel. If you're interested in hearing me call any, sort of basketball games for high school all the way down to 7th grade, that link will be in the description. Also, feel free to like and subscribe to those videos and to that channel. But hit me with a like, hit me with a subscribe here. More than appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you on the next one, which my guess is going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, like normal next week, probably dropping sometime around Thursday. So yeah, we'll see. I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Make smart choices, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you later.